In this video, we are going to talk about how to use the works of others in our academic studies while complying with the standards of academic integrity. We frequently come across quotes or images on the internet or social media without a properly credited source. We may have done so unintentionally ourselves as well. On social media, this may be an acceptable behavior without any consequences. However, in academic or professional settings, this is considered plagiarism. You see on the screen a wide range of examples that must be cited when used. This is not a comprehensive list. There may be other types of sources which you need to cite as well. Any material that you use as evidence to substantiate your claim needs to be cited and referenced. The basic principle is you need to cite all the written, visual, or digital sources you use in your work. These sources are their creators' intellectual property. So, it is important to give credit to those authors whenever you use their work. Why do we need to cite sources? Firstly, it increases the credibility of our work. Secondly, it validates the information and opinions we present. Lastly, it is an ethical obligation. It is the work of others on similar or related topics that makes new studies possible. Academic studies should draw from a wide range of resources, as this is both desired and necessary in both professional and academic life. A source can be included in a study in two main ways. The first is to quote directly, and the second is to paraphrase. A direct quotation is when you take a phrase, sentence, or even several phrases from another source and include them in your own writing exactly as they were without making any changes. Let's think of an author who wants to use a sentence from an article by Robert Oppenheimer. They would place Oppenheimer's sentence directly in their text, enclosing it in quotation marks. What you see on the screen now is an example of direct quoting. The author uses Oppenheimer's words exactly as the original and put them in quotation marks. In direct quoting, after the quoted text ends, in parentheses, you should include the author's last name, the year it was published, and the page number. Also, you will add the source in the references or bibliography at the end of your work. You may now pause the video to have a closer look at the example. Paraphrasing or indirect quotation is to rewrite a passage from another source and incorporate those ideas in your work using your own words. Let's say you want to include a part of an article in your own text. When paraphrasing, you maintain the text's original meaning, but express it using your own words. For a paraphrased text, there is no need to use quotation marks. However, when you're done paraphrasing, you must cite the source in parentheses. Here, an important point to remember is that you should let the reader know where the paraphrasing starts. One way you could do this is to state who the idea belongs to at the beginning of the paraphrase. You may pause the video now to examine the example in further detail. Let's take a quick look at some of the common paraphrasing errors. The first is paraphrasing too close to the original text. Another common error is rewriting the text in a way that changes its original meaning. A third error is giving an incomplete quotation from the source or attributing ideas to the author that they did not write. The final point to be careful about is to avoid adding unnecessary details to the original text when paraphrasing. In a nutshell, paraphrasing means keeping the original meaning of the source, but completely revising the wording and sentence structure of the source material. If the original sentence says exactly what you want, or rewording it would weaken its impact, then you should just use a direct quote. On the other hand, paraphrasing is the method you will most frequently use. Putting ideas into your own words is a key skill and a great way to develop your own thoughts. Rephrasing ideas in your own words helps you find your voice and makes sure that the tone of the paraphrased idea is consistent with your writing style. So far, we have learned to credit our sources within the body of the text. This is also called in-text citations. Now, let's take a look at how to compile these sources in the references. You'll see an example on the screen right now. Each source we cite in our work has to appear also in the references section. In generating the list of references, we place the sources alphabetically by the author's last names from A to Z. There are different citation styles like APA, MLA, Harvard, and Chicago. The method you choose will depend on the publication guidelines of the journal or the book where you aim to publish your work. If it's a thesis or dissertation, you should refer to the relevant guidelines of your institution's graduate school. A quick internet search can show you how to cite your sources in different styles. Now that we have covered how to quote, paraphrase, and cite sources, let's talk briefly about some online tools that can help you spot and avoid plagiarism. These tools check your work for originality, flag any possible plagiarism, and give you a detailed report. The report shows which parts of your work match other sources and where you might need to add proper citations. Carefully reviewing these reports will help you spot any mistakes and correct them before submission. Keep in mind, publishers, organizations, or institutions use these tools to check for plagiarism in submitted works. In this video, we covered the basics of direct quoting, paraphrasing, and how to create references section as part of the principles of academic integrity. Whether in the classroom or in the workplace, we can never compromise on ethics and integrity.